The phone call to the police station came at 2:47 p.m. "You need to send someone to Thompson's barbershop immediately," the voice said. "There's been an incident with one of your officers." When backup arrived, they found Officer Martinez sitting in the barber chair, perfectly still, unharmed but shaken. Charlie Thompson was calmly sweeping hair from the floor like nothing had happened. Nobody talked about what really went down that day. But this story doesn't start with that phone call. This story goes back 30 years to when Charlie Thompson first opened his barbershop in the town of Millfield. A man cutting hair in the same chair, in the same shop, on the same corner of Main Street. Nobody questioned his limp. Nobody wondered about the scars on his hands. Nobody noticed the faded Special Forces certificate hanging behind his mirror, covered in dust and forgotten by Time Dot, until Officer Martinez walked in with an attitude problem. And no respect for the man holding the razor. Charlie Thompson followed the same routine every morning. Open the shop at 7 a.m., sweep the floors, sharpen his razors, drink his coffee, read his newspaper, wait for the first customer. Millfield was a small town minus 3,500 people where everybody knew everybody. Charlie's shop was like the heart of the town. Old farmers would come here to get their hair cut while discussing the weather. High school students would come for pre-prom shaves. Workers would stop by after their shifts. Everyone knew Charlie, but nobody really knew Charlie. This morning was no different. At 8:30, he welcomed his first customer, Farmer Bob Mitchell. At 10 o'clock, retired teacher Mrs. Henderson's husband came in. At 11:30, high school student Tommy Peterson came for a shave. A normal day. A quiet day. The kind of day Charlie preferred. Vietnam. Charlie Thompson was just 19 years old. A young man from a small farming town in Ohio who had worked in his father's farm equipment store. When he was drafted, he just wanted to serve his country. He didn't know how war would change him. His recruitment into Delta Force wasn't accidental. He learned very quickly, could stay very calm, could work very precisely. 3 months later, he had become one of the youngest members of America's most elite unit. "Thompson, do you see the target?" whispered his commander. Charlie adjusted his scope, held his breath. "Yes, sir. 200 meters, wind to the right. We need to handle this quietly." Charlie nodded. His knife was his only companion when infiltrating enemy camps at night. Quick, silent, precise. 1 second. 2 seconds. 3 seconds. Target down. When he returned from Vietnam, something inside Charlie Thompson was broken. He had seen too much at too young an age. He had killed too many people. He had lost too many friends. When he returned to America, the public didn't support the war. Vietnamese veterans weren't welcomed as heroes. Instead, there were protests, anger, accusations. Young men like Charlie found themselves in a foreign country when they returned from war. He couldn't find work. Friends drifted away from him. His family didn't understand him. Charlie discovered that staying alone was safer. He came to the town of Millfield in 1976, a small, quiet, forgotten place. Nobody questioned his past. Nobody wanted to hear war stories. He just wanted to live a peaceful life. He didn't choose to become a barber by accident. In the war, he used to cut his comrades' hair. Steady hands, precise movements, patience. The skills he learned in war were useful in barbering. When he opened his shop, he was just 22 years old. Young, but experienced. Nobody knew about his Delta Force background. Nobody wondered about his missions in Vietnam. They just knew he was a good barber. For 30 years, Charlie Thompson had become an invisible man. Customers would come, get their hair cut, talk, and leave. Charlie would listen, smile, and do his job. He never married. He never had children. He just had his shop, his routine, his silence, and that was enough for him. Young Martinez, who replaced Officer Rodriguez, had come to town 3 months ago. 24 years old, fresh out of police academy, from the big city. He looked down on small towns like Millfield. He thought they were backward. This afternoon, when Martinez entered through the shop door, he didn't greet Charlie. He just sat in the chair and said, "Cut it short." Charlie nodded, tied the cape. "How short would you like it?" "I don't care, old man. Just get it done quickly." Charlie's hand stopped for a second. Old man. Nobody had spoken to him like that in 30 years. "Okay," Charlie said calmly. He took his scissors and began his work. Martinez took out his phone and started talking to his friends. "Yeah, I'm at the town barber's. Yeah, typical old guy. Probably never accomplished anything in his life." Charlie continued moving his scissors. Calm, controlled, but he was boiling inside. "These old guys are all the same," Martinez continued. "Living in the same routine, working in the same place. Never did anything big." Charlie's hands stopped completely. The scissors were at Martinez's neck, motionless. "Is something wrong, old man?" Martinez asked. Charlie took a deep breath. "No, nothing." But there was a different tone in Charlie's voice. Cold, sharp, dangerous. Martinez continued his phone conversation. "This barber is typical too. Probably never got an education after high school. Maybe went to the military, but probably just did cleaning or something." When he heard that, something inside Charlie broke. The anger, pain, pride he had hidden for 30 years. Everything came to the surface. "This place is kept clean," Martinez said, looking around. But the guy obviously never amounted to anything real in his life. Charlie picked up his razor, took it out of its case. He could hear the sound of metal echo in Martinez's ears. "He's not even married," Martinez continued. "Probably too much of a coward. If he was a real man, he would have found a better job." That's when Charlie's patience ran out. Charlie placed the razor against Martinez's neck. Just close enough to touch. Just sharp enough to feel. "Very interesting," Charlie said quietly. "You were talking about a real man." Martinez's body froze. His phone dropped from his hand. He could feel the cold metal of the razor on his neck. "Be quiet," Charlie said. His voice was very calm, very controlled, very dangerous. "Now I'm going to tell you something about a real man." Martinez was afraid to breathe. The razor was at his neck, Charlie's hand completely steady. "Do you see that certificate?" Charlie pointed to the mirror. "Can you read what it says?" Martinez turned his eyes. Behind the mirror, behind dusty glass, a military certificate was hanging. United States Army Special Forces, Delta Force, Charles Thompson, Vietnam, 1975 to 1976. Martinez's eyes widened. "Do you know what Delta Force is, young man?" Charlie asked. He hadn't moved the razor, but Martinez could hear every word clearly. I don't know, America's most elite unit. The most dangerous missions. The most difficult operations. The most silent hands." Charlie's breath was at Martinez's ear. "When I was 19, I carried more responsibility than you do now. When I was 20, I was on solo operations behind enemy lines." Martinez was trembling. "When I was 21, I infiltrated a 50-man enemy camp alone to save my comrades. When I was 22, I was risking my life for my country." Charlie brought the razor a little closer. "How old are you?" 24, Martinez whispered. 24 years old, and you've never seen real danger in your life. Your life has never been at risk. You've never had to save anyone's life." Charlie passed the razor through Martinez's hair. Perfect control, perfect precision, perfect calm. Now I'm going to teach you something, Charlie said. Respect, humility, and what it means to be a real man. Martinez was afraid to move. Charlie's hand was so steady, it moved like a robot. I've been running this shop for 30 years. I've been serving this town for 30 years. My customers are my family. This work is my honor. Charlie took his scissors and continued cutting Martinez's hair, as if nothing had happened. When I returned from war, I didn't feel I had to do big things. I didn't have to achieve great success. I just wanted to be a good person. Martinez's breathing had slowed. Charlie's voice was hypnotic. In this barbershop, I've cut thousands of people's hair. I've listened to thousands of stories. I've helped solve thousands of problems. Charlie took the razor again and began trimming Martinez's beard. Every movement perfect, every touch calculated. Real power, Charlie said, is not having to prove anything to anyone. Real success is doing the right things every day. Real courage is building a normal life after war. Martinez was listening. For the first time, he was really listening. I'm happy in this town. I love this shop. I chose this life because it gives me peace. Charlie cleaned the razor, put a hot towel on Martinez's face. But young man, you will never disrespect anyone here again. You will never look down on elderly people again. You will never judge people without knowing them. Martinez nodded. I understand, sir. You don't need to call me, sir. Just call me Charlie. Charlie turned the chair. Martinez looked in the mirror. His hair was perfectly cut. His beard was perfectly trimmed. Professional work. Everyone in this town has a story, Charlie said. Everyone has a past, struggles, achievements. Just because they don't live in the big city doesn't mean they're small. Martinez stood up. Charlie, I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. You don't need to apologize. You just need to learn. Charlie took off his cape. I won't charge you for the haircut, but I want something from you. Anything. Show respect to this town, to these people. Protect them. Serve them. Be a real officer. Martinez nodded. I promise. After Martinez left the shop, Charlie called the police station. He didn't identify himself, just said, send someone to Thompson's barbershop, because Martinez needed change. But this change couldn't happen alone. The other officers needed to see it 10 minutes later. Backup arrived. Chief Peterson, Sergeant Williams, and 2 young officers. Charlie, what's the problem? Peterson asked. Charlie smiled. No problem, Tom. I was just giving young Martinez a haircut. He got a little shaken up. That's all. Peterson looked at Martinez. The young officer was still sitting in the chair, lost in thought. Martinez, are you okay? Yes, sir. I just have a lot to learn. In the following days, Martinez had become a different person. He was treating the townspeople with respect. He was talking patiently with elderly people. He had developed a real sense of service. He started visiting Charlie's shop more often, not just to get his hair cut, but to chat, to listen to Charlie's stories. Charlie, what was Vietnam like? He asked one day. Charlie stopped, thought. Hard, but educational. It showed me what's really important. What's important? Serving people, protecting, showing respect. You don't have to do big things. Just being a good person is enough. Months later, Martinez had become the town's most beloved officer. He was playing with children. He was helping elderly people. He had become a true community protector. Charlie was still working in the same shop, continuing the same routine, but now he was seeing a different kind of respect. People knew his story. They knew his Delta Force background. But more importantly, they knew his character, because real power doesn't come from what you did in the past, but from how you live now. Real success isn't big ranks, but daily kindnesses. A real hero is who you are in peace, not in war. Word spread through the veteran community. Other ex-military personnel started visiting Thompson's barbershop, not just for haircuts, but for conversation, for understanding, for connection with someone who had been there. Charlie found himself becoming an unofficial counselor. He didn't have psychology training, but he had something more valuable: credibility. When Charlie Thompson told a struggling veteran that respect was earned through service, not rank, they listened. The shop became a gathering place, a sanctuary, a place where stories were shared, wisdom was passed down, and healing happened one conversation at a time. A year later, Martinez had been promoted to sergeant. He was leading community outreach programs. He was mentoring young officers. He was everything a police officer should be. And he never forgot the lesson learned in that barber chair. During his promotion ceremony, Martinez gave a speech. He talked about mentorship, about respect, about learning from your community. He didn't mention Charlie by name, but everyone knew who had changed him. After the ceremony, Martinez stopped by the barbershop. "Charlie, I wanted to thank you." "For what?" "For teaching me what it means to serve." Charlie smiled. "You taught yourself. I just helped you remember." Charlie Thompson continued working at his barbershop until he was 75. Every day, the same routine. Every day, the same dedication. Every day, the same quiet service. When he finally retired, the town held a celebration. The mayor gave him a key to the city. The police department gave him an honorary badge. The Veterans Association gave him a Lifetime Achievement Award. But Charlie treasured something else more than all the official recognition. It was a letter from Martinez, now police chief, that simply said, "Thank you for showing me that true strength is quiet, true courage is daily, and true heroism is helping others become their best selves." Thompson's barbershop is now a museum. The chair where Charlie cut hair for 40 years is preserved. The mirror where his certificate hung is cleaned and polished. The tools he used are displayed with respect. But Charlie's real legacy isn't in the museum. It's in the officers who serve their communities with respect. It's in the young people who learned that success isn't about status, but about service. It's in the understanding that sometimes the most powerful people are the quietest ones. The phone call to the police station that day at 2:47 p.m. was never officially recorded. Nobody talks about what really happened in Thompson's barbershop that afternoon, but everyone in Millfield knows that something important changed that day. Something that made their town a little better, their police a little more respectful, and their community a little stronger. And Charlie Thompson, the quiet barber, was perfectly content with that legacy.